This is eCommerce Uncensored. Brought to you by Fast Forward Unlimited. We're coming to you fully loaded and exposed with all the strategies and techniques for growing your e-commerce business.
Hey everyone, and thanks for joining us on another episode of eCommerce Uncensored. This is episode number 108. My name's Kevin Manel, and I'm here with
Jason Caruso
and Paul Chu.
I'm high again.
And today we are filming in front of a live audience.
Live studio audience.
Wait, we need the applause sign. There you go. We have our, I just hate, I can't call Brianna an intern. It just doesn't make any sense.
I can't call any of them an intern, to be honest with you.
They're a team. They're part of our team.
They're part of our team.
Team members.
I know. We're going to fire Kevin and bring one of these guys on.
Oh, please. I'd love that. That'd be great.
So today is Kevin's birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, Kevin.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's
Everyone
40 years
forgot
old.
this morning until they looked at the calendar.
Right, he's 40.
I'm 39.
Well, you look 42, so I figure I'd take the average.
You should hear
40 and a half.
You know, first of all, Jason's birthday was on Sunday, so happy birthday to you too, Jason.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
And we had the joy of hearing the dad jokes all last week of Jason. Oh, you know, it's my 27th coming up, so like just throwing that in.
It is my 27th.
Yeah, okay.
Is it scary that you're leaving your 30s next year?
It is very scary. It's a weird feeling. It's kind of sucks.
I'm getting close to my 30s, so I'm understanding.
There it is. There he is.
All
so
right,
we have Brianna and Tiffany.
Brianna and Tiffany.
I don't think Brianna was here last episode, and Tiffany was not. So.
All right. Well, so today we are going to talk about something that actually I tried to get Brianna on the podcast, but she's sniffling and I don't know, she's sick or something. And she didn't want to come on, but she before she told me she's on a hiatus. I don't know if I believe that, but she has a I don't mind. I think it's good to be entrepreneurial. But anyway, she has a travel blog e-commerce store, right? Is that accurate? And like every week, we have trouble coming up with topics because number one, we have a bit busy studio or agency, and number two, we're running out of stuff to talk about. That's the other thing.
Over 100 episodes.
Right. So what we decided to do, or I decided to do, I guess, in the morning meeting is put Brianna on the spot and say, hey, we need a question from you.
That was 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, that was 15 minutes ago. So it gives you an idea of all of our prep that goes into these topics. And basically her question was around influencers and when she should use them, when she shouldn't, if she should use them, if she shouldn't. And I think this is like a thing that a lot of people battle with because that's like the sexy word, I think, today, influencers. But like, what does that really mean? And is it really going to do anything for you? Short or long term? And we're going to get into that.
Well, I think when you first met me, you considered me your influencer. So that's a good example.
That was probably the farthest thing from the truth, actually. But we're going to get into that, which is going to be, I think, it was a good topic, I think, because actually one of our other clients asked us the same thing when we were like interviewing for them to hire us.
We get a lot of that, a lot of questions about that.
Yeah, and I have my own opinions about it. I know Paul printed something up. He's going to throw all these numbers at me and all this other nonsense, but we'll see.
He'll probably argue and say he's done his research and these are just fabricated.
We're going to ask you to read it because there's no way you're going to be able to see any of this.
No. But before we do, we have to talk about our favorite email relationship builder marketing platform, and that is Klaviyo. If you're not using Klaviyo, I say this every episode, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. We just started this new campaign with one of our larger clients, and literally in the last 4 days, they've made like, I don't know, $50,000 using Klaviyo. I mean, it's kind of insane. Actually, Tiffany, you were just in there, right? Did you see all that money that those emails are making? It's crazy, right? The last email was $14,000 or $15,000 or something. And there's people that have e-commerce stores like Brianna, and they're not using Klaviyo. So if you're not using it, you need to get your ass on it.
And the predictive analysis, the fact you were talking about it last week, is like you can go in and see exactly when someone is going to make another purchase.
Or when they're most likely.
When they're most likely to, not obviously.
We looked at some of them. It wasn't like to be honest with you, I think it's going to depend on how long you're using Klaviyo, because this client we looked at was only using it for like a few months. So it wasn't predicting it as accurately as I thought it would, but they have only been on the platform for like 3 months, and I'm
surprised there even is data in there for some of those people who have only been using it for a couple of months. You'd think that you'd need a whole buying cycle in order for it to pull that kind of information.
The other problem that's complicating it even further is that they were on Volution and they moved to Magento, so it's taking data from two different websites. So in this case, it wasn't. I wouldn't say it's 100% accurate, but I can see over time, like on the platform, how it works. You know, the people that did spend a lot of money, it kind of knew when they were going to do it next. But the people who didn't spend a lot of money, I didn't think that it was very accurate. But I'm sure that's because the platform was just new to this particular client. And you should sign up using our link, ecommerceuncensored.com/email. You'll get redirected to Klaviyo. You could sign up. The first 250 contacts are free. And we have a Facebook group that we get people signing up to every day, ecommerceuncensored.com/Facebook. Now, one thing about our Facebook group I want to mention, I posted this video that I thought was going to be like crazy. It's only been seen by 6 people.
Yeah, I don't understand that either, because I see a lot of other posts that are seen by 50, 60 people.
In the group?
Yeah. I'm telling you.
You're a conspiracy theorist with your Facebook.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, they don't.
Zuckerberg's out to get them.
Because you're conspiring with the Russians.
Yes, that's what's happening. All right. So let's get into why or why not, or when.
How and why.
Yeah, or
why
whatever.
not.
You should be using influencers.
Albert's kind of forced us into having a title before we start the podcast.
Which is a good idea.
Which is fine.
What was it? How and when, why to use influencers?
How, when, why, if you
when
should use influencers.
Who, what, when. Who, what, where, when.
Yeah.
How.
Well, anyway, let's just say
influencers.
Yeah, influencers. Now, there are. I think first of all, I want to say that I think there is a time and a place that you should use influencers. I think that you have to be careful though, because everybody wants to go to the Kim Kardashians of the world. The problem is they have a million companies that they are promoting. So you are going to get flooded out. And yeah, maybe a ton of people will see it, but I think that her followers are probably immune to some of the crap she puts out there, right? Some of the products. I mean, like, how many skincare or makeup products can one person promote, right? Look, I got the ladies over there shaking their heads. Like, how many? I mean, seriously, like, I mean, do they all work?
The authenticity of it, too, throws me off. Like, I do follow some celebrities. I do follow some.
You follow me, right?
Yeah, so
yes.
Yes. Very important people like you with,
how clean?
200 or 300 followers.
Forget about that, like 2 or 3 posts.
But, like, I follow, like, okay, I'm a Bravo watcher. I watch a lot of Bravo. Let's all get that out there. I watch The Housewives.
Yeah, you know,
I watch Vanderpump Rules.
I mean, look,
it.
I think that's what every business owner should be doing at night, watching Bravo. I mean, that's definitely.
I do have my computer on my lap, just so you know.
Yeah,
while you're napping while you're asleep with your son.
Right, and your mouse is like just like sitting in one spot, going like this.
But it's like, I just see it and I get turned off by these celebrities do it, because it's just like you just can tell that they're just going to get a check at the end, which we know that's what happens with all influencers. They get paid kickbacks, but when it comes from a celebrity, when they're doing it forever, they're almost whoring each other out or whoring themselves out for these products, it just comes across as non-authentic to me.
Yeah, and you know, I think what typically well, look, I think things are changing also, right? Like, when you use an influencer, you may get a blip. You know, we've spoken about this before, like a blip in sales. But it's never really like something you can scale or something that's long term, right? So, you know, I think that a better strategy is to find like people who aren't as popular or famous. Like, instead of going to the Kim Kardashians, you go to somebody like a level under them, a level or 2 under them. You can get more people, like you can get more influencers, and you're going to spend a lot less money because they don't have 40,900,000 or no, what is it, 900 and something million? How many people follow? 97 million people follow Kim? You have no idea. Me neither. Yeah, but So instead of like getting one person for thousands of dollars, maybe you can get 10 people, which is a better strategy because you're going to get more exposure, right? When you're using a Kim Kardashian, she does have millions of followers, but she also has tons of different products that she's pushing.
Yeah, and touching upon like Kim and really large followings, the stuff that I printed out, one of these statistics is saying that micro influencers, so people who have between 10,000 and 100,000 followers have a much higher engagement rate than people that are celebrities or really large, probably for the reasons you're saying. And authenticity.
Yeah, and I think there's a definitely an argument to be made. Like, even 30% of 100,000 is a lot less than 1% of 97 million. So there is an argument to be made by that, but I think Kim's followers are much more diluted than someone with 100,000 or below, right? Like, those are like people who are focused on that influencer.
Mm-hmm.
The people with the 100K and less, which I just read something from some guy, this copywriter that I follow. I think I told you guys about this. He was like, would you rather have 4 quarters or 100 pennies? Right? Like, they both are $1, but the quality of a quarter is it's much easier to manage. It's worth more. It's the same thing with like influencers or clients. Is it better to have 100 pennies or 4 quarters, sort of, right?
Yeah, I think it's important too to create almost like a relationship with an influencer, so they can stand behind your product, like they actually believe in, like what Klaviyo did with us. It's like we actually use their product. We actually can stand behind it through our experiences, and it's not going to be like just a blip. It's going to be a long-term relationship that you're building with someone that they could talk about, forever almost.
Yeah, I mean, there is a strategy out there that people are killing it with, and I was saving this for now. And that is using like micro influencers, like Paul said, and creating audiences on Facebook around the people that they send to your website, right? So, like, let's say you have 10 different micro influencers. That audience is like highly targeted.
Mm-hmm.
So you have those people send traffic to your website, and then you let Facebook's pixel, this is for you, Brianna, you let Facebook's pixel save those audiences, and then when you run ads, you can run ads to lookalike audiences. A lot of people look at lookalike audiences as like, when you create one, it's like the 1%, right? Which is when you create an audience on Facebook, it asks you like, what percentage do you want like that group of people to look like, like the top 1% is the best. But you can pull that out 2%, 3%. You can get millions and millions of people who look like the people who are coming to your website. So if you want to run ads to, maybe if your influencers are only sending a couple thousand of people to your website, you can then take those 2,000 or 3,000, create a lookalike audience of millions of people who look like that. So I personally think that that's a much better strategy than to think that you're going to that influencers are going to save your business, or they're going to make you a $1 million store just by having them like post your product to their feed.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I think that's a really good point, and making it not as just like, I'm going to go get an influencer and have him send traffic to my website. Consider it like a campaign. We had a client like a year or so ago that hired an influencer. Remember when they the sunglass company? Tiffany's Sunglass Company.
Oh, Tiffany's Sunglass Company. Yeah, great client.
Yeah, they hired. We were their marketing team. We were handling their Facebook ads, their their email, and they went off and they hired a influencer to talk about their product.
I remember that guy.
Talk about their product on Facebook and didn't tell us about it.
Right.
I'm like, when you think about it, like, why not bring us into that campaign so that we can, like you said, follow traffic around. We know when he's sending people here to talk to them in a certain way. Create landing pages specifically for that influencer.
Yeah, they weren't very smart. They did some stupid things, and
But that's a really smart. That's really a good idea. And then even if you retarget those people, you can mention the influencer's name and say a remarketing campaign or retargeting campaign because you know where they came from.
Yeah, I mean, and you can like create audiences just for those influencers. It doesn't have to be like an overall audience. You can say like anybody who's come from this link because you're going to give an influencer your link, right? So, I mean, there's a whole bunch. I think that'll work like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that, I think you can use influencers for, but I think where people go wrong, and maybe Brianna, you can attest to this, is like people think that influencers are just going to build their business for them, right? Like, let me let, this person post my product and oh my God, like 20 million people are going to see it and I'm going to become a millionaire. It just doesn't work that way. A very small percentage of people are even going to see it. And then even a smaller percentage of people are actually going to act on it, right? Because that person is probably doing 20 other travel, which I don't think I ever told you this, Brianna, but I think that's a really cool niche that you're in, that travel niche. No, not travel, but travel. Yeah. Like, what is it? Product? No, like, yeah, travel size. I have never heard anybody being in that niche. Travel sized products. And if you go look at her website, I mean, she wants to rebrand it. I actually think it's fine. But I think that's a cool niche. There's not a lot of people like fighting over that niche, and the travel niche, a micro niche of a huge giant niche is awesome.
What's the website? BriannaCorlett.com.
Shout out.
You're gonna get. You're gonna get.
Yeah, I think
it's
even
gonna be a bill for that.
So
yeah, and we want a percentage of every sale that you make.
I think the industry does matter, like you're saying, Jason, that if you're in a very saturated market, it's probably not as beneficial. Like you said, with makeup, it's just a waste because they're already out there. And even the influencers, obviously, I mean, this is kind of obvious, but I'm sure people make the mistake of getting an influencer who isn't at all related to their product. If you just get a celebrity to like put your sunglasses on or boxers and they're not like a fitness person or would wear sunglasses,
I get those calls
related,
all the time. People might wear their
terrible.
boxers on my. I just tell them.
Oh my,
I can't do it.
For the big and tall store, for the big store.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was kind of done. Yeah, I mean, if it's a sports related product, it should be an athlete.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I didn't even think about that because Kim Kardashian, like, I don't know what her niche would be. Like, I don't know. I mean,
hers
nothing?
is makeup, but she's just too big. And like you said, she does it for all kinds of companies, and she has her own, right? I know Kylie does.
Yeah, and her sister
Kim has her own product,
right?
So.
I mean, yeah, I mean, and look, if you're Kylie, you can certainly build your business off of your own.
Exactly.
But that's her.
They're a rare exception.
Man, I got sucked into that show the other day. I
Keeping
don't know.
Up with the Kardashians?
I couldn't turn away.
I hate it.
It's so stupid.
It's terrible, but I can't stop
we
watching.
watch people act like idiots, and everybody thinks it's great. I mean, like, look, Kim for her age. I mean, I know she had a lot of work done, and I mean, she's not really but she does look good for her age.
They all look pretty good.
She's 38
actually.
years old. I know.
I was watching the episode I watched the other day. The mother was getting filmed doing an interview for people teaching her how to do an interview. That's what it was.
I just you have to think that they're honestly, and I know might sound crazy, but their lives have to be boring. They have to be because
I don't know what's worse, them or me watching them do that.
Well, you watching them is even nuts. Yeah, I mean, because I being a big golf fan, Tiger Woods when he was young, he said like, I feel like a prisoner. I can't even go to the store and buy a soda. Like, I don't know, man. Like, we take that kind of stuff for granted. But, like, Kim can't walk out of her door and go get, like, a soda.
Yeah.
Right? She has to send her, like, assistant, and then he's going to get the bodyguard and all this other nonsense just to get, like, a soda. Like, yeah, she flies on private jets, and, like, people take pictures of her walking around. But, like, really? I mean, if you have nothing to do, like, how much fun can that be?
Yeah, I think fame is over glamorized.
It is.
You need to get in that middle ground. Like, you need to be like that middle ground influencer, like we're talking about.
Listen, I could speak
rich but not famous. Right?
I could speak firsthand about being famous, and it's much more.
I don't know how you get here every day.
Yeah, it's tough. You got to see the lines.
That's why it takes them so long.
Exactly.
All the fans and the photos.
I actually have to leave like when it's dark outside. Like around 5:30, I leave. I have to. But we're getting a little off topic here. But yeah, I mean, I think Paul, you actually made a really good point that, the more niche down you can get, the better. Mm-hmm. And it's all about driving relevant, targeted traffic to your website, and then using that traffic to create other or more audiences that look like that traffic. And that's how you can start scaling, you know? So that, yeah, I mean, if, you know, we see it a lot. People think that influencers are going to change their lives, change their businesses, but really you just have to use it in the right way. And just thinking if I post something to my feed, it's going to make you a millionaire. It's just not going to happen that way. You have to do it. These micro, I think it's a good point with the micro. You have something else on that sheet you want to talk about?
No. I mean, yeah, it just goes back to our point about, like, you know, having, you know, the marketing cycle of people needing to see you and trust you and all that stuff. I just see this one that says marketing inspired word of mouth makes 4 times the impact of the purchasing decisions. So taking someone else's word for it is important.
There we go.
No, but I mean yes, that is. It's because though you're taking out the trust factor.
Right. Exactly. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
That's what an influencer does.
And I mean, human nature is like, we always talk about this, right? Like having like a bestsellers section on your website, like bestsellers. People don't want to be the only one that's duped into buying something. So they want to buy what other people are buying. Yeah. So when I say to Kevin, go buy this or go buy that, he feels more comfortable just like by default to buy it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, that's definitely, definitely makes sense to me.
Yeah,
for sure.
Did you have a question? Did you say? We had a crowd question.
Budget-wise, how much money should you be spending on these influencers?
Budget-wise, okay. That's a good question. So Brianna wants to know, like her head's turning for her website. She wants to know what kind of money, what kind of budget you should put towards this. And I would say that's probably a very common question, but I think before you can answer that question, you have to figure out what it costs you to acquire a customer, and then what they're worth to you over a lifetime. And why that's important is because you don't know what you can spend to acquire a customer until you know what they're worth to you over a period of time. So at first, you're going to just have to play, like, just, you know, like, the first thing you want to know is, like, what is it going to cost me to acquire a customer? And then from there, what are they worth to me over 6 months, over a year? And then you can kind of backtrack and say, okay, if I spend $500, I'm going to get this. If I spend $1,000, I'm going to get that. I think a lot of marketers, a lot of business owners, they look at it from what you just looked at it from, like, you know, what should I spend? And that's not really the question you should be asking yourself. It's like, what does it cost me to get someone to take out their credit card and say, Brianna, take my money? If you can find those numbers out, we talk about it a lot. You know, this is not something that I came up with, but Russell Brunson talks about, if you could spend $1, I try to make you read a marketing book, but you weren't that interested. But in this book, he said, if you can spend $1, I told Tiffany about this, right, Tiff? Tiffy? What was it?
Tiffy?
No,
Tiffany.
No, the Y wasn't going. The Y wasn't.
Oh.
What? Tiffan. She couldn't get the Y on her computer, so her name was Tiffan. I was explaining this to Tiffan. Basically, if you can spend $1 and then after they go through your funnel, you get $1 back, you don't have a marketing budget, right? If I spend $1 million and then at the end of it I get $1 million, I can spend $5 million and get $5 million back, right? What people make the mistake in thinking is that they're going to be profitable on the front end, right? The front end is the marketing stuff, the influencers. You're not really profitable on that end. You're profitable on the emails, the follow-up emails, and that sort of thing.
Well, that goes back to your point why it's so important to make it more of a campaign and be prepared for the traffic that's coming in and the sales that are coming in from certain influencers, because so you can get the most out of every visitor that you get, because it's gonna be an investment when you first do it.
But once you get those numbers worked out, you know, he also says in that book, you know, he who can spend the most money acquiring customers wins. And the idea is, you know, if it costs you $100 to acquire a customer, as long as when they get through, on average, you're making that 100 back. You know, you're not going to get every person, but you know, overall, if you can get your 100 back, you don't have a budget.
Cool.
Does that make sense? You know, my answers are always long-winded, so I'm not really sure if that made any sense.
If you had, gun to your head, if you have to give a rough percentage of your overall budget, what would you tell her or other people? Like, just in your opinion. Like
I would spend
10% of your overall budget on an influencer?
Oh, on an influencer?
Yeah, on an influencer
specifically
of your entire marketing.
Honestly, man, like I think I wouldn't look at it like that.
No? Okay.
No, because I would look at it like just try to figure one platform out. So let's say she has $1,000 to spend, right? I would say take that 1,000 and try to perfect one platform. Facebook, Instagram, influencers, whatever. Because they all work differently and they all kind of have their own nuances, and trying to figure out too many of them is, will make your head spin and probably cost you a lot of money. I would say pick one and try to perfect that one. And once you perfect that one, you'll make money that you can then reinvest back into the business. But yeah, I mean, I think general rule is like if you're selling to customers, if you're B2C, you're going to want to be on Facebook and Instagram. If you're doing B2B, you're going to want to be on LinkedIn. YouTube is another B2C one, is another good one. But yeah, I wouldn't look at it like that. I would try to like perfect one of them. There's a lot of people on all of them.
Yeah.
And I always laugh when people are like, "Oh, I sent out my ad got in front of like 4,000 people and nobody purchased. Maybe I'm sending it out to the wrong people." I'm like, dude, I promise you, those 4,000 people have purchased something in their life. They are buyers. They just don't want what you're selling, right? Like, so did that make any sense?
Yeah.
So,
well, sort of. Well, then they're not the right.
No, but
Audience.
basically saying like, you got to get the right product in front of the right people,
yeah.
right? If it's not working, it's probably not.
Your efforts.
Yeah, it's probably not your efforts. So,
Makes sense.
anything else?
Nope.
Anything else, ladies? Tiffan? No. Bree?
That's it.
All right.
Albert.
They all said my name right on there, so that's good.
I like
Okay,
that.
good.
Albert, any questions, Albert?
All right.
Let me take a picture of you for our. Yeah, there you go. We'll put that on Instagram so that you can be on it.
Nice. A little POV.
Klaviyo.
eCommerceUncensored.com/email. Facebook group, ecommerce.com/Facebook.
Yes. And Instagram. Follow us on Instagram at eCommerce Uncensored. You can see everything that goes on here. Not everything, but
Not everything.
And unfollow Kim Kardashian if you do.
what's that?
Yeah.
She sucks.
And all our videos. Every episode that we do, we also record on video, so you can check that out on our Facebook page.
Oh, yeah.
Every video that we do, we always record it on video.
Did I just say that?
Yes, you did.
Yeah. That's facebook.com/eCommerce Uncensored.
No, what?
Facebook.com.
Oh,
/
that's
eCommerce
right,
Uncensored. You can check out all our videos of our episodes there. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been episode number 108. As always, you can check us out at eCommerceUncensored.com. And we'll talk to you guys real soon.
Later.
Bye.